What is going on, everybody? Hope everybody's enjoying their day so far. We are back with some more preview and predictions, looking at this week's NFL slate in week number 3. And what a week 2 it was, headlined by some great games featuring a shootout between the Giants and the Cowboys, with the Cowboys ultimately pulling away in overtime with a Brandon Aubrey game-winning field goal. And we also had a Super Bowl rematch between the Eagles and the Chiefs, and the Eagles once again came away with a road victory in Arrowhead. And this week, we're more back to our traditional schedule. So we have a Thursday night game, a Sunday night game, and we only have one Monday night game compared to what we had this past Monday when we saw the Texans and the Buccaneers and the Chargers and the Raiders face off. So all of that being said, let's dive into the week 3 games, starting with the Thursday night game between the Miami Dolphins, who come into this game 0-2 against the Buffalo Bills at 2-0. So an AFC East showdown between two of these teams. And the Buffalo Bills defense, after looking not so great in their week 1 matchup against a really talented Baltimore Ravens offense. That was another high-scoring shootout that we saw in the early weeks of the season so far. But that Buffalo defense did bounce back in a big way against the New York Jets. Miami Dolphins almost came away with their first win against the New England Patriots, but the Miami Dolphins once again fall short. But the offense definitely looked more improved. You saw Tyreek Hill get more involved. Jalen Waddle got a touchdown. Devon Achane continues to be really good, but the defense just continues to lack. And to be honest with you, I just don't really see this one being close. It's probably going to be over by at least halftime, maybe the third quarter. But I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills. I think that they're just way more talented than what the Miami Dolphins roster is right now, especially the defensive side. So I think that the Buffalo Bills continue their winning ways on Thursday night against the Miami Dolphins. Now, that's our Thursday night game. Now we will go to the Sunday afternoon slate with an AFC South battle between the Indianapolis Colts, who are surprisingly 2-0. They had to face the Tennessee Titans, who are still 0-2, looking to get their first win of the season. And the Titans, to me, haven't looked all that bad for the first 2 games of the season, especially the defensive side. I know they gave up a lot of yards to both Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, but in their week 1 matchup against the Broncos, they were able to force some turnovers against Bo Nix. But looking over at the Colts side, I mean, Daniel Jones has definitely been a surprise for this offense. Jonathan Taylor, coming off of a great game, had a receiving touchdown, 156 rushing yards. So a really good performance by him. That defense has really been playing well over the last couple of weeks. I know they gave up a lot of points to both teams that they faced. However, I'm going to go with the Colts in this one. I think it is going to be a closer game. The Tennessee Titans have really surprised me, especially on the offensive side of the ball. They definitely have some weapons, led by one of their rookie receivers in Alec Manor. So Calvin Ridley too, and then Tony Pollard. But I am going to go with the road team here, though I wouldn't be shocked if Tennessee gets on the board here. But I'm going to go with the Colts, moving to a surprising 3-0 on the season. Now let's go on to our next matchup, featuring an old rivalry here between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots. Both teams coming into this matchup 1-1. Steelers just losing to the Seahawks. Patriots, like I just mentioned at the top here, losing to the Dolphins. So both looking for a bounce back. You never want to fall below 500, especially this early in the season. So I think that this is going to be a great game. I think the Steelers defense definitely have some question marks still. I mean, they have just been puzzling. I thought that they were going to be one of the top 10 defenses so far. They haven't really looked too good on paper. The Patriots defense, as well as the secondary, has been getting lit up. So I think with that, I am going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think you're going to see Aaron Rodgers in this offense bounce back. You did see DK Metcalf find the end zone, but look for Jaylen Warren in that run game to get going here. It is going to be a close one, but I'm going to go the Pittsburgh Steelers, so another road team that I'm picking in this matchup. Now let's go to another AFC South battle. So not only we have one AFC South showdown, we also have 2 with the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Houston still looking to get in the win column, 0-2 coming off of a loss. It was a tight one on Monday night against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ended up getting that late touchdown by Rachaad White there to lose that one. The Jacksonville Jaguars ended up falling short, literally in the same way that the Houston Texans did at the goal line. Jake Browning scored from the 1-yard line with just under 30 seconds left, and the Jacksonville Jaguars now move to 1-1. So this is a crucial matchup, especially if the Colts win this one. The Colts would be 3-0, and the other teams would be 1-1, and so forth and so on. But I just don't really see a team like the Houston Texans going 0-3. It's nothing against what the Jaguars have done. The offense, I'm definitely impressed. I think Trevor Lawrence over the past couple of weeks moving forward will be improving. CJ Stroud needs to improve. It's definitely been a disappointing, end of last season heading into this season. You got to get your star wide receivers involved in Nico Collins. He got that touchdown, but outside of that, he really didn't do too much outside of that game. So I think that this is going to be a more defensive game. So I think that I'm going to go the Houston Texans in a tight one here in Jacksonville. Now let's move on to an AFC West divisional showdown between the Denver Broncos and the Los Angeles Chargers. The Broncos losing on the buzzer on the road in Indy on a game-winning field goal, 29-28. It looks like the Broncos are going to head to 2-0, but they did have a flag that gave the Colts the second opportunity, and they were able to get away with a victory. The Chargers have definitely been one of those impressive teams so far for the first couple of weeks of the season, coming off of a Monday night victory against the Las Vegas Raiders, and they were dominant, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Geno Smith had 3 interceptions, no touchdowns to his name. So I think the Denver Broncos defense definitely needs to play better. I mean, the Colts were able to move the ball effectively, especially with Jonathan Taylor in the run game. So don't be surprised if you see this, if Amari and Hampton have a bounce-back game, because he is off to a slow start, but the talent is definitely there. And the Chargers receivers, Keenan Allen has been terrific for his first couple of games back in Los Angeles. Wouldn't be worried about Ladd McConkey. The target share is still there. And then Quentin Johnson has had the big plays. So with all that being said, I think that the Chargers, the way that this defense, especially Justin Herbert, he's really playing well for the first couple of games of the season. So I'm actually going to go with the Chargers here. So I have another AFC team moving to 3-0. Now let's go on to the next Sunday game, which features Cincinnati Bengals and the Minnesota Vikings. Both, Cincinnati is one of those teams that we really look at this spot is like starting off the season very slow. But they are 2-0, and they do have an injury to Joe Burrow. He is suffering from a turf toe injury, so he's going to be out for the next 3 months. He's going to have to get surgery for that. On the Minnesota Vikings side, they are dealing with some injuries as well. Aaron Jones was just listed on the IR, so you'll see Jordan Mason get the start. I mean, we saw a lot of Jordan Mason for the first 2 games of the season, so nothing that the Minnesota Vikings offense have been accustomed to. But also you're going to be about J.J. McCarthy, so you're going to see Carson Wentz versus Jake Browning in this one. So not a sexy quarterback battle on paper. But these 2 defenses definitely need to get it going. The Minnesota Vikings, we won new week number 1, shut down Caleb Williams in the offense, but they cannot stop that Atlanta rushing attack. Not only did Bijan Robinson get his, but Tyler Algier got his as well. So I could see Chase Brown have a good game. But I'm actually going to, this is a tough one for me. Both teams have really been playing well, but I just think that Minnesota is going to bounce back at home, especially after an abysmal performance on Sunday night against Atlanta. So that was a tough one for me. But I think I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings, go with the home team there. Now let's go on to the next one, the New York Jets versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Bucs. One of those teams in the NFC that you're seeing at 2-0. Offense have been impressive, especially with Baker Mayfield. Then you saw Mike Ibuka get another touchdown. Mike Evans is still the wide receiver 1, though. I think that he is coming along here. And then Bucky Irvin, too. And then that defense has really been playing stout. New York Jets, another quarterback injury. Tyrod Taylor is going to be getting the start with Justin Fields being ruled out. With all that being said, this is a pretty easy pick. Give me the Tampa Bay Bucs. They move to 3-0. Now let's go on to the next one. Las Vegas Raiders versus the Washington Commanders. As you see there, the Washington Commanders coming off of a mini bye since they did play on Thursday night against Green Bay. Las Vegas is coming off of a short rest, again, since they had a Monday night game against the Los Angeles Chargers. Offense did not look very good for the Raiders. Brock Bowers, was he really healthy in that game? We did have a couple of catches, but we did see Jacoby Myers get most of that. But with all that being said, I think that the Commanders really bounced back there. Look for that defense to continue to improve week in and week out. And with Jane Daniels being injured, don't know if he's going to be playing in this one. So all is up in the air on that. But I'm just expecting that Jane Daniels will be on the field and ready to go. So with all that being said, I will go with the Commanders there. Now let's move on to the next Sunday game between the Green Bay Packers and the Cleveland Browns. This is a nightmare situation for the Cleveland Browns, one of the worst offenses so far in the NFL. The Green Bay defense has been one of those elite defenses that we've seen in the NFL, so I really don't even need to talk about this. I don't expect this one to be very close, so give me the Green Bay Packers. This team has been rolling. So we're going to save the Kansas City versus New York game for the end. That is our Sunday night game. Let's move on to the next column here as we have the Los Angeles Rams and the Philadelphia Eagles. Both of these teams 2-0, and this could really, separate all these other NFC teams. Whenever we look at the, the one seed and who gets the bye, both of these teams could be in that race. So the Rams are 2-0, like I mentioned. The Eagles, I mean, their defense really played well in week number 2 against the Chiefs. This is a tough matchup, two talented offenses, but I'm going to go with Philly at home. Now this is a playoff matchup too. We saw this one. This was the snow game that Saquon Barkley just went off on that one. So I expect another close defensive battle between both of these teams, but I will go with the Eagles once again. Now let's move on to the NFC South battle between the Atlanta Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers still looking for their first win on the year. Atlanta Falcons just picked up their first one, and they've really been competitive in their first 2 games. To be honest with you, they're a couple of plays away from being 2-0. I also don't need to talk about this one. I'm going to go with Atlanta. I just don't think this one's going to be close either. Panthers just haven't really shown too much on the offensive side of the ball, and the defense hasn't been able to stop the run yet. Now let's move on to the next one. The New Orleans Saints head on to the Pacific Northwest to face off against the Seattle Seahawks. This Seahawks defense has also been one of the best in the league. Saints have, their offense hasn't been that bad. Spencer Rattler coming off of a great game against the 49ers, but once again, it comes down to the last drive, and the Saints can't capitalize and take the lead there. But this is a tough environment to go into. I just think that the Seahawks defense, the way they've been playing, I just think that is just going to be a tough one on the road for the Saints. So give me Seattle. Now let's move on to the next one between undefeated teams of Arizona and San Francisco. Arizona, you could say like their 2 wins aren't that great. I mean, they beat the Saints, they beat the Panthers, probably going to be 2 of the worst teams in the league. But their offense, has been shaky. Their defense, though, has been what's impressed me for the first 2 weeks of the season. San Francisco also dealing with some injuries like a lot of teams. It feels like Brock Purdy's still out with an injury. So it's going to be Mac Jones starting against Kyler Murray. But I don't think it really matters. I just think that San Francisco with Christian McCaffrey and the weapons they have on offense is going to be a little bit too much for Arizona to handle. So give me San Francisco at home. Now let's move on to the next one. I think this is going to be an underrated matchup. I know the records aren't great, but 1-1 versus 0-2 between the Dallas Cowboys and the Chicago Bears. And both defenses have been struggling. Let me tell you, this is going to be a lot of points. I mean, the Dallas Cowboys just putting up 40 points. I mean, the Bears just gave up 52 against a very talented Detroit Lions team that, they could have honestly put more on them. So I expect the winner at least to get into the 30s. I think that's going to be a quarterback battle between Caleb Williams and Dak Prescott, but I just can't really trust the Bears at this point. I wouldn't be shocked if they do it, but I'm going to go with the road team here, go with the Cowboys to win this one. Now let's move to our primetime games. First on Sunday night between the Kansas City Chiefs and the New York Giants. Both 0-2 teams. I know that the Giants just put up a lot of yards, and Malik Nabers had himself a game. We saw Russell Wilson, of all people, get 450 yards passing, and Wan'Dale Robinson have a game too. But, I just don't see the Chiefs going 0-3 to me, so I think that they get their first one of the season. I have the Giants falling to 0-3. Now let's go on to the Monday night game. This is going to be an epic quarterback battle once again. 2 talented offenses between the Detroit Lions and the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens, if it wasn't for that late comeback by the Bills, they would easily be 2-0. But they are both teams sitting here at 1-1. The Ravens just pummeled the Browns. Both of these teams coming off blowout wins. But I think this is going to be a back-and-forth game. Both offenses will for sure get theirs. But I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens at home. This defense, outside of week number 1, I know you could say, it was the Browns, but I think they bounced back here. Though I wouldn't be shocked if both teams get into the 30s and we're looking at the fourth quarter and it's 38-35. But that is our week 3 preview and predictions. Let me know what are some of your games that you're looking forward to in week number 3. So we appreciate everybody for tuning in. We'll be back here next week looking at week 4 preview and predictions. So with that, I appreciate everybody for tuning into today's video. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you back here next time.